Hi, and welcome back. This is episode 31 of Fear Me, It's Bree, and I am Bree. And today we're going to be talking about Hunter Biden pleading guilty because as soon as I shut off my recording yesterday, I opened up Twitter and that was like the first thing that popped up. And I was like, well, that could have happened 20 minutes ago, but that's fine. We're going to talk about the missing submarine. Some pretty bleak news on that. I don't foresee them surviving this ordeal, unfortunately, which is very tragic. So we're going to look at that again. And then we're just going to potentially look at an article that's about a week old, I think, about Anheuser-Busch and how they actually got an award in creative marketing right before the Dylan Mulvaney explosion. So if you want to find me on social media, you can at fearmeitsbre on Twitter, Instagram. I just realized I'm still wearing my headphones from a call I was just on. We're going to take those out because I don't actually need them for this stream. So we're going to get rid of those. All right. I wondered why I sounded so muffled. I don't think I'm playing any videos today. So honestly, I could have kept those in, but we're going to drop them for now. My hair's all fluffy. But anyway, Fear Me, It's Bree on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, all the fun platforms if you would like to see the strange things that I tend to post. And we're going to hop right over and start with the Titan story, not the Titanic. It's kind of interesting that that's the name. So unfortunately, right, so missing Titanic submarine live updates, search for missing sub expands exponentially. This was updated about 15 minutes ago, so it seems like it's still pretty relevant. Unfortunately, I don't even think they're alive anymore at this point. If they panicked, their oxygen would have been cut in half, probably the time that they would have had. The pressure, the depth that they are most likely at could have caused organs to have failed or imploded by now. If they were panicking or if they were breathing heavy, unfortunately, they may have put themselves to sleep with their own carbon monoxide output. So as far as I can tell, I don't think that they are going to make it out of this, which is very sad. But we're going to read this quick little article and see what they have to say about it. An expert submariner from the British Royal Navy, a team of French ROV specialists, and more ships and underwater vessels are joining in the urgent search for the missing Titanic submersible across an area roughly 2 times the size of Connecticut, a Coast Guard official said on Wednesday. There's an enormous complexity associated with this case due to the location being so far offshore and the coordination between multiple agencies and nations, Captain Jamie Frederick said, the first Coast Guard District Response Coordinator, in an afternoon press conference. Frederick said, the search area is expanding exponentially and the crews were pressing on. You always have hope, he said. The 22-foot submersible was carrying 5 people in a dive to the wreckage site of the Titanic when it lost contact with support ship Sunday. Among those on board were a British adventurer, 2 members of Pakistani business family, a Titanic expert, and CEO of OceanGate, the privately owned Washington-based company that operates the vessel. 5 vessels on the surface are currently searching for the submersible, which may only have a day's supply of oxygen left, and 5 more are expected to join the search, Frederick said. Underwater, 2 remotely operated vehicles are actively searching with several more en route to arrive by Thursday morning, he said. So this one's a little old. As in, like, probably yesterday. Or no, Thursday's tomorrow. Oh my gosh, I'm out of it, okay? All right, it is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. All of the ROV searches have yielded negative results, they continue, Frederick said. The news come as more information is emerging about experts' attempts to warn the company that owns the underwater vessel about the perils of its operations. Documents show an OceanGate employee warned there might be safety problems caused by the way the experimental vessel was developed. And leaders in the submersible craft industry told the company its approach to the enterprise could have a catastrophic outcome. From what we can tell, it's not the first time it's gotten lost, although the last time it got lost, it was for about 5 hours, and it was still within contact with the ship. This one, within an hour of its descent, it was still descending. Lost contact with the ship. I don't know why it wasn't tethered, because I thought you were supposed to have a tether or some kind of safety lead, but that might be part of their experimental whatever. David Lockridge, OceanGate's Director of Marine Operations, wrote an engineering report in 2018 that said the craft under development needed more testing and passengers might be endangered when it reached extreme depths, according to a lawsuit filed that year in the U.S. District Court in Seattle. OceanGate sued Lockridge that year, accused him of breaching a non-disclosure agreement, and he filed a counterclaim alleging that he was wrongfully fired for raising questions about testing and safety. I think it's always a good idea to raise questions about testing and safety when you're literally going to be taking a capsule that fits like 6 people to the bottom of the ocean. The case settled on undisclosed terms several months after it was filed. Lockridge's concerns primarily focused on the company's decision to rely on sensitive acoustic monitoring, cracking or popping sounds made by the hull under pressure to detect flaws, rather than a scan of the hull. Oh my gosh. Lockridge said the company told him no equipment existed that could perform such a test on the 5-inch thick carbon fiber hull. So that is a theory too, that this has happened before in the past where submersibles have gone down, they haven't been properly tested, and when they hit a certain depth, they end up imploding, right? So that's another theory. People wonder if it imploded, and that might be why they lost contact, which unfortunately is a very plausible theory if they didn't do any tests to the outer hull. A Canadian aircraft heard underwater noises in the search area, the U.S. Coast Guard announced on Twitter early Wednesday. The noises prompted remotely operated vehicle operations to search for the origin of the noises. The ROV searches have yielded negative results but continue, the Coast Guard said. Additionally, the data from the P-3 aircraft has been shared with our U.S. Navy experts for further analysis, which will be considered in future search plans. On CBS this morning, early Wednesday, U.S. Coast Guard 1st District Commander Rear Admiral John Mauger said there is a lot of metal and different objects in the water around the site. Yeah, I mean, the wreck of the Titanic, for one. We don't know the source of the noise, but we've shared the information with the Navy experts to classify it. 3 vessels arrived on the scene Wednesday morning, the U.S. Coast Guard said on Twitter. The John Cabot has side-scanning sonar capabilities and is conducting search patterns alongside the Scandi Vinland and the Atlantic Merlin, the Coast Guard said. Side-scan sonar is used to detect image objects on the seafloor, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Search crews were facing wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour and ocean swells up to 7 feet, the Coast Guard said. And that's the other thing, too. As much as you would want to find these guys and bring them home, you've got to also take the rescuers' safety into consideration because the ocean is a terrifying place. I have no interest in ever going on a cruise. I know it sounds wonderful. I know it sounds great. My parents have been on a couple and they were like, no, you'd love it. You don't even notice you're on a boat. Yeah, I just have this inescapable fear. Titanic is one of my favorite movies. Maybe I've watched it too much, but I just have this fear of Titanic 2.0 or the Poseidon Adventure, the one where the cruise ship literally does this and flips upside down, so they have to get from up through the hole. Something about the ocean, it's just so deep and vast, and not knowing fully what's down there terrifies me. So I have no interest in any kind of that kind of thing. The news came after crews detected banging and acoustic feedback sounds Tuesday while searching for the Titan submersible, according to an internal memo sent to the Department of Homeland Security leadership obtained by Rolling Stone and CNN. A Canadian aircraft heard the banging sounds every 30 minutes, according to the memo. Additional sonar was deployed and the banging could still be heard for 4 hours later. The internal update did not state what time the banging was heard or how long it had lasted. What does it look like inside the missing submersible? It is 8 feet high, 9 feet wide, 22 feet long, and weighs 23,000 pounds. In the small open space, passengers sit with their legs crossed. The vessel has about as much room as a minivan. That's extremely claustrophobic. The Ocean Gate operates 3 5-person submersibles, and it says has completed at least 14 expeditions and more than 200 dives in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Gulf of Mexico, according to the website. Unlike submarines, which are fully autonomous, submersibles have limited power reserves, so they require a support ship that can launch and recover them. How much oxygen is left? 1 p.m. on Tuesday, they had said about 40 hours of breathable air, which means the oxygen supply could easily be depleted by Thursday morning. An underwater robot searched the vicinity of the Titanic, he said, and there was a push to get salvage equipment to the scene in case the sub is found. Besides that, 3 C-130 aircraft and 3 C-17 transport planes from the U.S. military have been aiding in the search, and the Canadian military said it provided a patrol aircraft and 2 surface ships. So, the remote location, it's 900 miles east of Cape Cod and up to 13,000 feet below sea level. Makes the pursuit an incredibly complex one. As of Tuesday, 10,000 square miles have been searched. The Coast Guard in Boston is combing the ocean surface and below the water in search of the submersible using tools, including sonar technology and aircraft. So Dr. Albert Rizzo, Chief Medical Officer of the American Lung Association, said those aboard the submersible would be experiencing organ failure as oxygen levels dip and less of it flows to the brain, including weakness, confusion, and loss of consciousness. Anxiety, fear, and a faster heart rate can also increase the amount of oxygen a person uses, he added. The submersible's ability to filter out carbon dioxide is also concerning. Carbon dioxide, not monoxide. I'd said monoxide earlier, I think. Is also a concerning factor of compromise, said Dr. Alexander Iskov, Emory University emergency medicine physician and former diving medical officer of the U.S. Navy. Life-threatening hypothermia is a concern too, he said. The submersible's ability to maintain a comfortable temperature is essential amid the extreme cold of the ocean's depths. Yeah, imagine being in a metal tube, basically, I was going to say ice water, but I mean, this is beyond ice water. So there's 3 possible locations. It could be floating on the ocean surface. After an electrical failure, drifting in a water column anywhere between the surface and the bottom because it became buoyantly neutral, or on the seafloor, perhaps tangled with something that won't let it float to the top. The first one is by far the best position, Bellingham said, because even though it would be difficult to spot the Titan among the waves, the Coast Guard is just awesome at this. They have amazing capability to see something pretty small in an ocean. So I saw something earlier today as well that I'm going to look for real quick. Apparently the CEO of this company, OceanGate, decided that he didn't want an experienced crew manning the submersible. He decided that it was not diverse enough. It was more of a diversity hire scenario. So the CEO of OceanGate, which is operating the missing Titanic tourist submarine, explains that the company did not want to hire any experienced 50-year-old white guys because they weren't inspirational. And this comes from Catch Up, and I'm going to play the video real quick so that you can hear what he had there.
Listen to what he talks about. The CEO talks about hiring people.
Yes, I mean, when I started the business, one of the things you'll find, there are other sub-operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology. But a 25-year-old, who's a sub-pilot or a platform operator, or one of our techs, can be inspirational. And so we've really tried to get very intelligent, motivated, younger individuals involved, because we're doing things that are completely new.
So that's something that seriously bothers me about the whole situation. I'm sorry. Diversity hires and being woke are all fun and games until it gets somebody killed. Granted, it might not have been the crew. The crew might have done everything perfectly fine. They might have been great. And it may have been an electrical failure. It may have been something that was out of human control. But my issue with that is, like I said, I'm not an ocean person that way. I would not go into the depths to see the Titanic. I'll go to a museum if I want to see artifacts. I don't need to go down there. But if I was going to do something like that, and you introduced me to the crew and said, this is Linda. She's 25. She's been piloting this thing for about 5 years, and she's a great diversity hire because she's a woman, she's a minority, maybe she's black, maybe, you know what I mean? And we hired her as an inspiration. And I looked to the left and said, what about that guy there? Oh, well, that's Jack. He's been doing this thing for 25 years now. He's in his 50s, but he's very experienced. He's a great diver. He's never had a mission go south, but he's a white male and he's like 50 and he doesn't seem very inspirational. Even though he's got 25 years of experience, we'd rather you go with the girl that's got 5 because, you know, she's inspirational, right? And it's like, no. I'm going to go with the guy who has been doing this for 25 years over the person who has 5 years of experience. I'm not saying this girl or man or whoever was the pilot of this only had 5 years of experience. I'm just saying, as an example, if you're going to hire somebody based off of they're inspirational, they're diverse, based off of how well they're able to do a job or how much experience they have in it, you're going to run into things like this. And unfortunately, in this case, you ran into a catastrophic loss of life is the only outcome that I see coming out of this, unfortunately. And it's just so frustrating because, again, maybe it had nothing, maybe it was out of human control. But then again, maybe with a more experienced crew at the helm, maybe they could have avoided this. I don't think we'll ever know. Well, I mean, we will probably know when they find wreckage and things. We'll have a better idea. But again, diversity hire crap is all fun and games until you run into something like this. And this is why we hire people, not based off of their skin color, not based off of their minority status, not based off of their sexuality, and not based off of their gender, but based off of their experience and how well they are able to do the job. Anyway, we're going to move on from that topic. I just wanted a quick update of it, but unfortunately, I don't see them being recovered alive. So we're going to go over to Hunter Biden. Again, I literally finished recording yesterday, and then I opened Twitter, and this huge in my face, Hunter Biden pleaded guilty, and I was like, oh, okay. Would have been nice to have seen that earlier, but it's fine. So we're going to hop over to a Daily Mail article from yesterday? From today? Nope, from yesterday. About it. It was published last night. Seems pretty updated, so we're going to hop over. We're going to check that out. Hunter Biden will plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax offenses and reaches a deal with over illegal gun possession while addicted to crack. Joe and Jill say they love and support troubled son after bombshell deal will he likely avoid jail. Even Daily Mail is avoid, in bold caps. Pair of charges relate to the alleged failure to pay taxes. Other charges relate to sworn statements regarding drugs for gun purchases. He would get probation and avoid jail time because he's Joe Biden's son. Only the best for Joe Biden's offspring. Hunter Biden. We're going to pause this ad because I'm annoyed. Oh my. Okay. Hunter Biden has reached a deal with prosecutors that would see him plead guilty to tax crimes and dispense with a gun charge, but likely avoid jail time, according to new Justice Department filings. The president's son has been under investigation for 5 years for tax and financial allegations, as well as for paperwork for purchasing a handgun, where he attested he did not abuse drugs. Anyone who looks at him can tell, so I don't know how they didn't pick up on that. That contradicted admissions in his own autobiography, where he detailed an addiction to crack cocaine and the videos that we've seen of him doing crack cocaine that led to a stint in rehab. The agreement with prosecutors still must be approved by a federal judge and come at a time where the Justice Department is under scrutiny for its handling of high-profile investigations of President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Yikes, Hunter, you look rough. He actually looks a lot like his dad there. I can really see Joe in him. That's kind of weird. It's kind of jarring. Sources told NBC prosecutors will recommend probation, which would spare the president's son jail time, but could land him in hot water if he violates the terms. Both tax times to which he will plead guilty are misdemeanor charges. The Washington Post reported prosecutors recommend 2 years probation. Any further terms of probation that prosecutors would recommend were not immediately available and would be subject to modification by the court. U.S. Attorney for Delaware David Weiss, a holdover from the Trump administration, has been overseeing the politically charged probe. A document Weiss filed with the court Tuesday states that criminal information charges the defendant with tax offenses, namely 2 counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax, as well as 1 count of possession of a firearm by a person who is an unlawful user or addicted to a controlled substance. And this is the U.S. Department of Justice. Dear Mr. Kinnaid, enclosed, please find 2 informations to be docketed in criminal matters involving the above referenced defendant. The first information charges the defendant with a tax offense, namely 2 counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax in violation of 26. I'm not sure what that number means. The defendant has agreed to plead guilty to both counts of the tax information. The second information charges the defendant with a firearm offense, namely 1 count of possession of a firearm by a person who is unlawful user or addicted to a controlled substance in violation of 18 U.S.C. Number. The defendant has agreed to enter a pre-trial diversion. I thought that was a prenatal, and I was like, what? A pre-trial diversion agreement with respect to the firearm information. The defendant is represented by Christopher J. Clark. The parties jointly request that the court schedule a consolidated initial appearance on the firearm information and an initial appearance and change of plea hearing on the tax information charges. Original executed copies of the memorandum of plea agreement related to tax information and pretrial diversion agreement relate to the firearm information, which will be submitted at or in advance of the hearing, June 20th, 2023. So that's asking the judge for the hearing. Joe and Hunter. Wow. They're really looking alike. It's really jarring. Sorry about that. That was Hunter Biden's blurred member with him holding a gun. I should have previewed the article first, but we scrolled fast enough. It's fine. Boy, there's Hunter with the widow of his brother who died of cancer, who he was consoling, if not during, at least after. Oh, Hunter. Regarding the gun charge, Hunter has agreed to enter a pretrial diversion agreement, according to Weiss. Handling the matter as diversion case means Hunter wouldn't technically have to enter a guilty plea. Such cases are reserved for people who have a clean record and are facing non-violent charges who can meet a series of criteria. They are meant to reduce recidivism. I can't pronounce words today. Recidivism and are often applied to people dealing with substance abuse issues. The letter stated that the prosecutors and Biden's lawyer, Christopher Clark, jointly requested a court appearance in the firearm charge and a plea hearing on the tax charge. Clark said in a statement, with the announcement of 2 agreements between my client, Hunter Biden, and the United States Attorney Office for the District of Delaware, it is my understanding the 5-year investigation into Hunter is resolved. Hunter will take responsibility for 2 instances of misdemeanor failure to file tax payments when due pursuant to a plea agreement. A firearm charge, which will be subject to a pretrial diversion agreement and will not be subject to the plea agreement, will also be filed by the government. I know Hunter believes it is important to take responsibility for the mistakes he made during a period of turmoil and addiction in his life. He looks forward to continuing his recovery and moving forward, he said. Trump truthed a few times. People are going wild over the Hunter Biden scam with the DOJ. Wow, the corrupt Biden DOJ just cleared up hundreds of years of criminal liability to give Hunter Biden a mere traffic ticket. Our system is broken. In 2021, Hunter reportedly paid back the feds for outstanding taxes more than 2 years after disclosing the probe into his finances. The New York Times reported he told an associate the amount was more than $1 million, and he needed a loan to pay what he owed to the government. Let's go down to here. The probe of the alleged gun violation coincided with a period of repeated mass shootings and the president's call for more restrictions, including a ban on assault-style weapons. Now that's awkward. Republicans have been hammering the administration for allegedly uneven application of justice after a federal grand jury indicted Trump on charges of willful retention of national security documents and conspiracy to obstruct an investigation into the matter. The 37-count indictment had the former president facing a court date currently set for August in the heat of the Republican presidential primaries. A separate probe of classified materials uncovered at President Biden's home and former office is ongoing. The plea deal comes despite President Biden telling MSNBC, first of all, my son has done nothing wrong. I can't do it today. I trust him. I have faith in him. I don't know. I can't do Biden today. The vinegar in this, I think, is like messing me up. It's a kombucha, I think. Yeah, it's a sparkling kombucha. It was more vinegary than I thought it would be. It's not bad though. It impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him. Whoa, Joe. Why'd you say that? So, his dealing extended. Hunter's failure to pay taxes comes from a time when he was acting as a high-flying international lawyer, doing deals around the globe, while also, according to his autobiography, using drugs. His dealings extended from Ukraine, where he won a lucrative position on the board of the Burisma energy firm, to trips to China, where he's accused of trying to leverage his father's influence while Biden was the vice president to secure business. Information gleaned from his infamous laptop, which according to a Wilmington repair shop owner, Hunter dropped off seeking computer support, but never reclaimed, he must have forgotten, shows him posing naked with a gun and smoking what appears to be a crack pipe while passed out in bed. The president and first lady love their son and support him as he continues to rebuild his life. We have no further comments, said the White House spokesperson. So, yeah. Hunter Biden, like other handgun purchases, was required to answer the question, are you an unlawful user or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any controlled substance? And his answer was no. Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to scroll up. I don't really want to see Hunter again like that. Ugh. Yeah, so I know it's cliche to say this, but can you imagine if that was Donald Trump Jr. that had all of this stuff against him? He would be like, lock him up, throw away the key, never let that man see the light of day. But it's Hunter Biden, so he gets a sweet little deal, right? He's not going to have to face jail time or anything because his daddy's Joe Biden. So it's ridiculous. Yeah, that happened. So we're going to move on from that. This is probably going to be a shorter episode. We're going to move on from that, and we're going to talk about Anheuser-Busch again, just quickly. This is a little old. It's from like last June 19th. Oh, it's a few days ago. Okay. Anheuser-Busch accepts Creative Marketing Award announced shortly before Bud Light boycott began. Now that's awkward. Anheuser-Busch InBev won Creative Marketer of the Year award for the second consecutive. Wow, wow, simulation is real. I just glitched. For the second consecutive year at the advertising industry's annual award show. Anheuser-Busch Chief Marketing Officer Marcel Marsandis accepted the award Monday at the Cannes Lions Festival, according to Ad Age, an industry publication. It is tough to see the controversial and divisive debates that have been happening in the U.S. in the last couple of weeks involving lots of brands and companies, including Bud Light. He admitted the Bud Light boycott was a wake-up call and said the brand has been humbled by the controversy. Just apologize. The Beverage Conglomerate's Prize was announced on March 16th, weeks before Bud Light's advertising partnership with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney sparked the ongoing boycott against the brand. Mulvaney posted videos promoting the brand and showed off customized beer Bud Light can and sent the influencer drawing the ire of conservatives who accused Bud Light of supporting transgender ideology. That's not even the problem here because, listen, I've sseen ads where there's trans people. I've seen ads where there's ideologies I don't agree with right in them. I mean, you might have like a engagement ring. A jewelry store has a gay couple in their commercial. It's like, whatever, you roll your eyes if you don't agree with it. The problem here was not that Dylan Mulvaney was transgender advertising beer because he's a human being who probably drinks alcohol. The problem is that an alcohol company was using a TikTok influencer who specifically targets young children, which Dylan Mulvaney targeting young children with his content is a whole problem in itself. But even if it wasn't Dylan Mulvaney, even if it was some young TikTok girl who is perfectly squeaky clean but targets young children with her content, why are you using somebody whose target audience is children to advertise your beer? That was the problem. That one, they were peddling transgender ideology to children, and two, they were peddling their beer to children. They even said, we want a younger audience. We don't want the fratty college audience. And it's like, well, what are you saying? You want underage drinkers? Because that's not good. Mulvaney, a biological male who identifies as a transgender female, promoted transgender procedures in an October 2022 interview with Biden. Yeah. Anheuser-Busch announced a summer marketing campaign to reconnect with customers and portray Bud Light as easy to drink and easy to enjoy in ads. The company's CEO, Brendan Whitworth, plans to travel the country listening to consumers. Sales of Bud Light, Budweiser, and other Anheuser-Busch beer brands continue to suffer because of the boycott, according to the latest Nielsen IQ dollar sale data provided to the Daily Caller by Bump Williams Consulting. Rival brand Modelo surpasses Bud Light as America's top-selling beer, and sales of other competitors have surged since the Bud Light boycott began. Yes, every time I go into the grocery store, particularly Walmart, the one that's near me had a huge display of Bud Light when you first walked in, right? So you walk in, and it's like this giant mound of Bud Light. I think it was on sale, and it had a $15 rebate where it was like, hey, buy this beer, mail this in, and we'll give you $15. So it's just like, yeah, so they're not doing too hot. This is a short episode. It's only about 30 minutes, but that's all we're going to do today because I think my son's movie is winding up and I would like to not have to edit this. So I'm going to try and put out an episode either tomorrow or Friday. It depends on what I'm doing. One of those days I'm going to be probably gone for the day. I'm not sure which one yet. I still have to confirm some plans. So watch for something maybe tomorrow night or even Friday night. Yeah. So I didn't think I was going to get an episode in today, so I'm really glad that I was able to record this as short as it is. Again, you can find me at fearmeitsbre on Twitter and Instagram and all the platforms. I hope everyone has a great afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day. It is absolutely beautiful where I am, so there may be some outside time. We finally can see the sky again, although I say that and my curtain's closed. I'm going to open it and it's going to be gray again. But we finally had blue sky today. I was really feeling it because I took my kids out today and it was like, whew, when we got home, the AC got turned on immediately. So first time in a month, we put our AC in, and because it was going to get really hot one day, like 2 days in a row, we put our AC in and we were like, all right, we're all set. And then we had a month of the weird Canada gray sky, and then we had just rain, just a ton of rain, and it was freezing. It was like 40. I think there was even a couple days where there was frost warnings, and we had frost. But it looks like we're headed back into summer, so I hope everyone has a good afternoon. Maybe go enjoy the weather if it's nice where you are, and I will see everyone next time.